Reminder to all Roundtable members that your microphone will be muted. So if you would like to speak, please just a reminder to unmute your microphone. Thank you.
And with that, Mr. Chair, it's 7 o'clock, so your discretion.
Thank you. With that, we will call the meeting of August 5th, 2020 for the San Francisco Airport Community Roundtable. We'll call the meeting to order at 7 exactly. We are meeting via teleconference pursuant to the various orders issued by the San Mateo County Health Officer and the Governor's Office, which discourage large public gatherings. We are meeting via Zoom. Joining us today to help staff this meeting are Angela Montes, Roundtable Administrative Assistant, Janneth Lujan, Executive Secretary, San Mateo County Planning Department, Linda Wolin, Senior Legislative Aide to Supervisor Dave Pine, and Acting Roundtable Coordinator. And thank you, Linda, for all your work as Acting Coordinator. Justin Cook, Technical Consultant for HMMH. Kathleen Wenworth, Senior Advisor to Congresswoman Jackie Spear. And for the FAA, I have Skylar on, Community Engagement Officer, and Fabiola Garcia, Senior Advisor. We also have Bert Ganug from the Airport Noise Abatement Office. And Bert mentioned to me that we have on the line also Glenn Morse from United Airlines, who has been a great partner with us, and he is now retiring. So Bert, do you want to say a few words about Glenn before we move forward?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Glenn's been an invaluable resource to both the SFO Noise Office and the Roundtable. He was actually very instrumental in United getting onto the Wake Vortex generator retrofit program. So we have a lot to thank in him. United was the first domestic airline to announce they would proceed with that. So thank you, Glenn. I really appreciate all your help, and you'll be sorely missed.
Thank you, Glenn. We will miss you, and thank you, Bert, for the introduction. And so with that, we will move on to, I was just an explanation from our staff on how the public can participate in tonight's meeting. So with that, Angela, please instruct us.
Thank you, Chairman Ortiz. For those attending the meeting on the Zoom video conference, we will use the raised hand feature in order to organize any public comment. During the general public comment period and for each agenda item on the regular agenda, I will ask those members of the public who wish to comment to click the raise hand feature to speak on that item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. When you hear your name called, I will prompt you to unmute your microphone and inform you that you may begin speaking. You will have 2 minutes. Please note that members of the public must wait for our prompt in connection with each agenda item before using the raise hand function. For example, you cannot raise your hand during item number 3 if you would like to speak on item number 5. Written comments that were submitted in advance will be read by me during discussion of the appropriate agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. With that, we will move on to roll call. And I think, Linda, you're doing a roll call?
Yes, I will do that. I'm going to call it by organization. So if you're representing that organization, please announce yourself as present. For the City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office.
Present.
Ed, do you want to say your name for everyone?
Sure, Edward McCaffrey.
Thank you. For the City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission.
Here, Doug Yakel in place of Ivar Satiro.
Thank you, Doug. For the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors, I'll note that Supervisor Pine is absent due to a pressing Caltrain matter that many people would be familiar with. So I apologize for his absence. For the CCAG Airport Land Use Commission, I believe Carol Ford will be joining us late. For the Town of Atherton.
Elizabeth Lewis.
Thank you, Elizabeth. City of Belmont.
Davina Hurt.
Thank you. City of Brisbane.
Terry O'Connell.
Thank you. City of Burlingame.
Ricardo Ortiz.
Thank you. City of Daly City.
Amber DiGiovanni.
Thank you. City of Foster City.
Sam Handy.
City of Half Moon Bay. I don't see someone from Half Moon Bay. Town of Hillsborough.
Al Royce, present.
Thank you, Al. City of Menlo Park,
Cecilia Taylor here.
City of Millbrae,
Ann Schneider.
City of Pacifica.
Mike O'Neill.
Thank you, Mike. Town of Portola Valley,
Ann Wingert.
City of Redwood City,
Morgan's here.
City of San Bruno.
Laura Davis is here.
Thank you. San Carlos,
Adam Rack here.
San Mateo. No San Mateo. The moment, City of South San Francisco. Not yet. And Town of Woodside.
Tom Livermore here.
Thank you, Tom. We have well over 15, so we're well within quorum, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you, Linda. And with that, we will move on to public comment. And Angela, you want to give us the instructions?
Yes, Chair, thank you. We are now opening public comment for consent items and items not on the agenda. As a reminder, if you wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand through the Zoom feature. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. And we did receive one written comment by Ms. Rebecca Ward from Palo Alto. Excuse me. Attached, please find the memorandum written by James Castaneda to the SFO Roundtable members on January 28, 2016, regarding Palo Alto joining the Roundtable. It contains, I'm sorry, I'm reading this now, but it's during item number 4. I realize it's not during public comments, not on the agenda. I apologize for that.
Okay, so we.
So we
have
did
any-
not get any written comments for this item. I'm sorry.
Do we have anybody raising their hand for public comment?
For that, I am going to pass on to Janneth Lujan, who is helping us with spoken comments.
Thank you, Angela. I see no hands raised at the moment.
Okay, then having no comments, then we will move on to the consent agenda. And there are 2 items on the consent agenda, the airport director's reports for November through April and minutes from the June 3rd regular meeting. So do we have any questions, any items? And if none, I would, members of the public that have any questions that want to pull any of the items.
Mr. Chair, sorry, I'm hoping the motion could also include approval of the agenda with a slight change in order.
Okay, you want to do that all at one time?
I think you can do that all at one time.
Okay, so members, the other issue right now is we are changing the order of the agenda. So we are moving item 9B up because our guest speaker is calling in from the East Coast. And we are also moving item, I'm sorry.
Number 4.
An item number 4 because we have somebody with a limited time. So I'm recommending that we move those items up. So I'm entertaining, first, any members of the public want to pull any of the items on the consent agenda or any members of the roundtable. And I'm going to wait for Angela or Janet to tell me that there's nobody.
I'll move it, Janet.
And I will second Terry O'Connell.
So we have a motion by Janet Morgan, second by Terry O'Connell. And with that, we will go to the roll call.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, I wonder if we can do roll call. We could take a vote since we do have well over quorum. If we could take a vote by thumbs or some such.
Raise hand.
So
Raised hand.
please show your thumbs up as an aye, thumbs down as a no. And you will count, Linda?
I'm hoping Angela or Janneth will be counting, but
Elizabeth.
I want to see.
and
I want to see
Pam
Pamela's
Giovanni is
thumbs
raising her
up.
hand for that. So
Pamela, I think you're going to have to give us a verbal, Pamela.
Aye.
Can't see your
you all.
thumb.
Yes.
I apologize. I'm up to my video.
Thank you. And we have all thumbs up from all the members whose video I can see. So thank you very much.
And I saw Councilman Hindi also voted yes, he just indicated.
Perfect. So we can safely say that the motion has been approved. And with that, we can move on to item 9B, which is update from our legislative subcommittee. So I'm going to call on Ms. Janneth Borgen to give us an update, please.
Thank you, Chair. First, I'd like to introduce, if I could, Emily Tanter from Noise, who's going to give us a federal legislative update, and then we'll have a little report after that. So, Emily?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I am Emily Tranter. I'm the executive director of the Noise organization, and the Roundtable has been a longtime supporter of the organization and member. So thank you for that. I've been with the organization since 2007 and took over as executive director in 2019. So what I wanted to do this evening was just reintroduce myself. I think I joined you by phone a couple of times over the years. And now that virtual is a little bit more in all of our norm, I thought it would be good timing now that kind of what I call it as waking back up. Things are happening again after COVID, or after the beginning of COVID, certainly not the end. It would be a good time to just reintroduce myself and make sure you know that I'm here as a resource. I know that you have very good communication with your Congresswoman's office and your federal legislators in general. But as the Noise organization, with our staff and our board from across the country focused on this issue, want to make sure that we are focused on things that our members care about and that you're tracking. And that you use us as a resource as much as possible so that you're not hearing things from me that either you're way ahead of because your constituents care about it or your members care about it, or that is not apropos to you. So you may have already heard this. Again, this is my first time joining you, but I have a couple of brief updates on where we're at. Obviously, in March, I've been working with Angela, communicating with Angela for 6 or 7 months now, just to make sure that, she's asked me for updates, and there really wasn't any updates on airport noise for quite a long time. The conversations that I'm having in different parts of the country with FAA is that a lot of things that are moving or that were moving in terms of flight pattern changes at different airports or any sort of PBN, anything to do with next gen was a little bit on hold because of air traffic managers needing to go back to the tower because of the workload changing so completely. So that's been a really interesting byproduct. Not to mention the interesting byproduct, as I'm sure you're all feeling, but I know it's being felt across the country, of lower capacity at airports because people aren't flying as much. So it was a very interesting time for this issue area. However, our organization did encourage anytime we spoke to FAA headquarters or any advisors. Our board president does sit on the Next Gen Advisory Committee. They're meeting tomorrow for the first time in several months before March. So I'm sorry, the timing didn't work out. I could have given you a better update of their newest developments. But the Next Gen Advisory Committee and other committees that advise the administrator, our organization has continued to say, don't wait until noise becomes a problem again. Make sure that you're proactive on this because it will come back and will come back with a vengeance. I say this all the time, but new noise is really bad noise for people if it's something they haven't noticed before or if they've had relief from. So that's been our focus during this sort of downtime of COVID legislatively and federally with the FAA. And we work very closely with the headquarters and with the community engagement office of FAA. And so we're trying to make sure we continue those conversations. And you may have already seen this, and I apologize if it's a repeat, but the Moving Forward Act that was passed, I thought this was an interesting update. The Moving Forward Act that was passed out of the House of Representatives last month did include some interesting pieces for aviation noise. And though I'm not too hopeful that a Senate version of the bill will be introduced before it needs to be, which is September 30th, when the current authorization runs out, and we will be running on extensions. I thought this was a positive thing to be included in the House version, and we're advocating strongly for it to remain final version of the bill whenever that may be passed. And what the language does is essentially provide more funding for airports it expands the airport improvement program, which is for capital improvement projects in airports, but particularly for the mitigation of noise. So basically, if the project at an airport does improve noise or is dedicated to improving noise, it gives additional funding to that. And I think that's a really good way to deal with capacity, to deal with, we're airport adjacent. We're a really big country. We have people that are going to live next to airports. If we can prioritize that and make the community and ground impacts part of the dynamic, part of the metric, if you will, not the DNL metric, but the metric of how we are looking at where we fund things and where where the federal resources go. I think that's a really positive step. So that's something our organization is looking at. And again, it certainly may not be right now that that's going to happen because the House version passed, but the companion is slower, and we probably will need an extension before September 30th, because as I'm sure you all know, as a lot of you are public officials, the Phase 4 COVID package is really what's the focus right now. And then Congress will go on break once they finish that, hopefully this week, and pass that for our communities across the country. And then they will be on break a good portion between now and November for campaigning and for their traditional August break. The only other thing that I wanted to mention, which again, you may have addressed at an earlier meeting between now and April, but in 2019, to the appropriations bill then, Congress directed the FAA to do a study on alternative metrics for noise. And they did report that study, or they gave that report in April. And it reported out that DNL was the most appropriate metric. So not a big move in any direction for folks who are really supportive of alternative metrics, but I thought that was of interest that report did go in. So again, these are, as we're moving forward, if I would be thrilled to join you again on a semi-regular basis if helpful. And I'd love some feedback too, so that I am providing useful updates. I find that our organization is best, we can best help our members when we are in more communication. So it's been very nice over the past several years to be communicating with your staff. We love to continue to do that and make sure that we are providing you with up-to-date information that you don't already know, and that you also can use and is useful. So that's what I have today. I'd be happy to take any questions, and I very much appreciate you moving me to the beginning of the agenda so that I can get ready for sleep in another long, busy day tomorrow. So that's what I have. Thank you so much.
Ricardo, before we might open up to questions, I have a couple of things that Emily just spoke to. I was actually going to report on. So thank you. That cut mine way down. That was great. What do you need? Excuse me. What do you need from us to help move forward? And I realize COVID is going to take, all their time right now, which I respect. But it is going to come back with a vengeance. So we don't want to sit on our laurels now that we have this opportunity to really gather, all the resources we need. So what do you need from us that we can be ready and prepared when I don't want to wait until the last minute. So what do you need from us?
So I think that's a really good question. I mean, I think what would be the most beneficial to SFO Roundtable and your objectives is to be in community, and which you already are through this and through the folks from the FAA who are here, but just continue to communicate the concerns that you just say exactly what you just said. We don't want to wait. We want to be communicative. We want to mark that this is not going to go away. And the other thing I always say is, no one wants to talk about noise unless they have to. And so this may seem like a nice reprieve, but I would really encourage, and even if it's just a letter or coordination with the Congresswoman's office to kind of just ring that bell to say, this is, we have to continue talking about this. And in some ways you're already doing that. So it may just because you are still meeting as a roundtable. And I know that a lot of roundtables, I only know of one other one that has restarted. That may have changed in the last month or so, but as of late June, I only knew of one other one that had restarted meeting. So, just kind of marking that and saying, we're still here. This is still a concern. There's still a lot of investment around this, and we want to communicate with you so that there isn't a time when, things start back up and things move forward quickly because they were almost there. And, this sort of lessons learned about kind of communicating ahead of time. So I think it's just as simple as sharing, kind of reminding folks that you're organized and that you're committed to addressing this issue as a region and as a roundtable.
Thank you. Thanks. So if you want to open it up to questions, Ricardo, while Emily's still here.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Thank you, Councilmember Borgens. With that, we will open it up to our board members to see if anybody has questions of either one.
I think Vice Mayor Schneider had her hand up.
So Vice Mayor Schneider, please.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Tranter, thank you for joining us. You're going to be leaving before you hear our report on ground-based noise. And is there a way in the future that you might be able to talk with our ground-based noise committee where we're working on slightly different issues? For example, what I'm going to report on later is using LMAX as a sound measurement. But rather than taking up time now, how might we do that?
Yeah, I would be happy to, whenever you meet, if you'd like me to call into a Zoom or schedule a call that works for everybody. If you don't have a standing committee time, I can work with Angela. I'm really happy and open to just anybody kind of reaching out that's a member of Noise, because again, that's what staff is here for. Myself and the rest of my staff are here to just help the board, help the members. So if you want to just reach out to me, I'd be happy to schedule that. I'd love to learn more.
Excellent. And then one of the things that we talked about was, are there any other roundtables or other noise entities around the world currently looking at ground-based noise? So low frequency noise, both flight noise and facility noise. And we can talk about that offline, but if that can start getting your memory working on that, we are hoping to find other roundtables who are working on similar issues.
Right off the bat, I would check with O'Hare. I don't know that they're doing it now, but I know in the past it has been an issue for some of the ONCC members, but I will keep thinking about that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
And we meet typically in the morning or afternoon, so it shouldn't get in the way with bedtime.
Okay, thanks. And I'm happy to stay up late once in a while, just need to plan.
Well, I think you see communities as we're building more and more and more and going taller and taller and taller, we're going to have different type of issues that we need to talk about. So I'm glad that you're really open to that. Ricardo, do you see any more questions?
So Janneth, do we have any other hands raised?
Okay, the only other, because Emily did a great job, there were a couple of things that I had researched, so thank you. You took care of that. Is we did submit our final letter regarding the supersonic issue, and I think everybody saw that. It did go out, and I'm not sure, to be honest with you, where it ended up, but we did get it out. We did get it out in time. It was presented, so we've gone that far. So,
Chair Borgens, final
there
copy
you are,
of
Linda.
the final copy of that letter was included in the packet as I believe 9A. For anyone who wants to refer to it.
Perfect. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. So I think that concludes our report. And thank you, Emily, for making yourself so available. We appreciate that.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. I look forward to being further in touch.
And we will definitely take
Emily,
you up and invite you back. So thank you for being here.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Take
Emily,
care.
could you stay on for another minute? I believe there were a few
Absolutely.
from the public, or maybe.
Okay. So we're opening it up to questions from the public right now. So Janneth, do we have any members of the public who want to ask questions about this item?
Hi, yes, we do. I do see 3 hands raised at the moment. I want to ask that the person speaking please identify themselves as well as the city they're calling from. So first caller, I'll go ahead and call on Mark Shull, followed by Sue Degree. So please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hello, Mr. Shull.
Yeah, this is Mark Shull. Hi, Emily. This is Mark Shull
Mark.
from Palo Alto. We've met before in
Yep.
DC. And I just wanted to say that I was fortunate enough to get a speaking slot at the NAC meeting tomorrow. And I thought your point was very, very interesting because it's exactly the same one I'm going to make in my talk, which is really that during this pause, I think it's a good opportunity for the FAA, now that the traffic is down lower, to really look for some opportunities as they kind of rebuild to make improvements that can be made that couldn't be made when the focus was on just capacity and getting airplanes in and out of runways. So I just wanted to say that I am going to be able to attend that meeting tomorrow, and what I am planning to say is exactly the same thing that you said. So I just wanted to pass that on, and thanks.
Well, great, because I will reiterate that to them. Either I will have Brad Pierce do that, our president who sits on the NAC. If I'm not sure if you saw the agenda ahead of time, but if you're going to attend the whole thing, it's a very technical meeting tomorrow, which they all are, but there's not, so I will reiterate that, and that's helpful to know. Thank you.
The other thing that'd be good is if they give a little earlier notice. I think you had about 12 hours to basically know about it and get the text in. So
yeah, I will make that note too. I mean, they know they didn't even get, they're just I think there might be more time usually, I'm not sure, but that's a good note to make. I will
thanks.
Bring that to their
attention. Thank you. That we move to Sue Degree, our former Roundtable member.
Hi, Chairman. I saw Sue had her hand raised, but it looks like she has lowered it now. So Sue, if you would like to speak, please go ahead and raise your hand now. Oh, there she is. Hold on just one moment. Sue, you may begin speaking.
Thank you so much. I was looking for the unmute myself. Hi, everybody. Miss you all. So I was reading the packet, and I love to read the newsletter at the end, but there's a group in the UK who is calling exactly for what you were talking about, and which Mayor Pro Tem Ann Snyder mentioned. And they are talking about absolutely those things of making sure that all airports, at least in the UK, monitor the sound, the noise. And remember, from our point of view, from the Roundtable, it's a health issue. They didn't mention that, but they are definitely working on approaching their administration and their airports and so forth to pay a great deal of attention all the time and to take some measurements. And if you look in your packet, because you have it at your desk there, it's page 5 of the newsletter, page 104 of your packet. That's all from my memory. So, but anyway, thanks for what you're doing. Very nice to have noise there. I very appreciate you coming in. Nice to see you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Too.
Thank you. I will now call on Peggy, followed by Rebecca Ward. Peggy, please accept this request, unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Thank you. Glad to join this evening. Peggy McLaughlin from Hillsborough. Emily, I'm glad to have you at this meeting. I just wanted to clarify, does the Roundtable belong to Noise, or do each of the individual cities belong to Noise?
The Roundtable.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you. Up next, we have Rebecca Ward. Rebecca, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. Actually, I tried to raise my hand during the airport director's report, but it also fits into this, since you were talking about the fact that there's lower noise at this point. And one of the things that I noticed in our airport director's report, that one of our main noise abatement procedures, Bodega East, which goes down the bay and would actually offload a lot of the noise, is only being used roughly about 25% of the time, even though traffic is significantly lighter. And so that then sends it down over our communities. And I don't know if you've had experience with the FAA and trying to get them to adhere to noise abatement procedures. In our case, I did raise this to the airport. Bert did reach out to the person who's responsible for sort of being our liaison, and got kind of a standard answer back. But, you know, as somebody just mentioned, there's serious health impact to having not just the noise, but also the concentration of the ultrafine particulate matter. And so I was wondering if you've had any success in getting the FAA to follow committed procedures, because using Down the Bay as the standard operating procedure during times when the traffic is light is supposed to be happening. And I'm also noticing that during this period, they're shifting traffic off of routes, in our case, like Diamond, that go over compatible land and actually onto.
Wouldn't have to go through this process multiple times potentially. That maybe could we do more than one jurisdiction at a time on this? I guess is my question, and maybe that's more if that were the case.
Yeah. So, well, actually, maybe as a clarifying, I just want to make clear right now, I don't advise like a roundtable. I advise the county. So I think I can't kind of speak to how a member might want to move forward. I mean, so theoretically, I think it would be possible to set forth a process, for example, by which a non-San Mateo County jurisdiction could join. So you could come up with a process. So you could have a whole bunch of steps, or you could combine it all into a single process whereby, you know, the agendized item in front of the roundtable would be, this is for cities X, Y, and Z. I mean, I think that there are a lot of different roads to get there. And it kind of depends on, the member that wants to kind of agendize this item as to how they want to approach that question, because it's open-ended. There's no sort of clear, there's no sort of rule about how you bring a particular city in. I mean, you can set it up as a process first, then bring the cities in, or you can set it up as specifically particular cities and add them by amendment to the MOU. It's kind of a more of an administrative question as to what's more efficient, I think.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Adam. Janneth, any other questions from members?
Not from members. We don't have any hands raised from members.
Very good. And with that, then we will go to public comment. And Ms. Montes, you want to give us the rules?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So as a reminder, if you wish to speak on item 4, please raise your hand through the Zoom feature, or for those joining by phone, please press *9. And I will now read the correct written comment into the record from Ms. Rebecca Ward from Palo Alto. Attached, please find the memorandum written by James Castaneda to the SFO Roundtable members on January 20th, 2016, regarding Palo Alto joining the Roundtable. It contains historical background that augments the materials being presented related to Agenda Item 4. I have also included a recent example from FlightRadar24.com of SFO traffic over Palo Alto. Even with substantially reduced traffic into SFO, Palo Alto is still inundated. Ann Schneider noted at the last meeting, quote, far more particles are coming out of jets than thought, quote. Multiple recent studies have tied arrivals traffic to plumes of concentrated ultrafine particles. SFO arrivals traffic is concentrated over Palo Alto. Palo Alto should be a member of the SFO Roundtable. Please provide the attachments of this memo to the SFO Roundtable members. Thank you for including Agenda Item 4. And that is the only written comment we received, and I will now pass it to Janneth Lujan for spoken comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Right now, I see one hand raised for this item. I want to ask that you please identify your city. The caller is Mark Shull. Please accept this request, unmute your microphone, and begin speaking.
Thank you. I think as many of you know, many of us in Palo Alto would very much like to be part of the roundtable. And there are a couple of reasons. First, as you know, the FAA now makes all decisions related to aircraft noise and emissions. But courts in the FAA have recognized an airport owner's right, but only the airport owner, to request local procedural changes. This is written in the FAA's Aviation Noise Policy 2000, which states that consistent with its policies, the FAA does not initiate noise abatement procedures absent an airport proprietor's request, and the FAA relies on the airport proprietors to submit such requests. In other words, there's only one formal channel to the FAA for SFO noise and emissions issues, and it's through SFO. The Roundtable has long understood this, and SFO has made commitments, quote, to request support of the appropriate agencies, i.e. the FAA, to implement Roundtable work programs in its master plan. My point is that the FAA regulations that all local requests related to SFO have to go through SFO, and agreements between SFO and the Roundtable mean they also have to go through the Roundtable. Which brings me to my second point, which is that local airspace is divided by airport. It's not regional. SFO's Class B airspace ends in a virtual wall along the southern border of Palo Alto. The other side of that wall is San Jose Class C airspace. Palo Alto is on this SFO Class B side and not on the San Jose Class C side. Our traffic, which is concentrated, which is the concentration of all arrivals over the peninsula, is SFO traffic. So why does Palo Alto keep coming back to the Roundtable? Because there's no meaningful alternative. We're under SFO's Class B, which means that FAA regulations require requests to go through SFO, and for good reason. SFO long ago committed to work through a roundtable, its roundtable on local issues, and not with individual cities. For these and other reasons, I urge you to make the modifications necessary to allow Palo Alto to become a member. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I see one more hand raised for this item. Eric, please unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, so thank you very much. Eric Filseth, Palo Alto City Council here. So thank you for considering this. You know, as people said, Mark said before, you know, we believe one of the more impacted cities for noise in the Bay Area, because so many of the SFO arrivals converge here for their final descent. You know, we're committed to this problem. We've had a council member assigned to the roundtable meetings, technical, legislative, and general for 3 years now, and we're going to continue to do that. We've hosted community events. We hosted a GBAS workshop last year. So we're in this for the long haul. We believe that a regional approach is critical to providing relief to the affected communities, which you folks are the leaders on. But we would like very much to put our shoulder to the wheel and try to get relief through the FAA and SFO. We're certainly fine with the financial commitment, and we're committed to be part of the solution. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Great. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Eric. Chairman Ortiz, I don't see any more hand raised for this item.
Good. Thank you so much. And with that, just a reminder, this was an informational item only. There is no vote. And I do appreciate the input. And I thank you, Mr. Wong, for spending some time with us. I appreciate you making yourself available to answer questions. And with that, we will move
I think,
on.
Mr. Chair, Vice Mayor Schneider has another comment.
Okay.
Or did I get that?
Mayor.
Hold on.
Hi. As I've said at previous meetings, I appreciate all of the people from Palo Alto who are both helping me understand issues and also looking at and researching issues that affect the communities that are close into the airport. But for the record, I just want to clarify something that one of the speakers said. Not all arrivals come in over Palo Alto. 15% of arrivals and departures take off directly over or land directly over Millbrae, and most likely Burlingame's portion of Mills Estates and possibly Hillsborough. So part of the problem that some of us may have with expanding roundtable membership is the need for communities farther away to recognize that those of us who live right next to airports have an additional set of issues. And it's a little scary when we get bigger and bigger and these cities become farther and farther away from, for example, ground-based noise. So just for the record.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to say I agree with some of what you said. I think that was well said. Thank you.
All right, Chair Ortiz, sorry. I just want to also mention that Carol Ford is on now. She was going to join us a little late, and I just wanted to acknowledge that she has joined us now.
Welcome, Carol Ford. And with that, I'm getting ready to move to item number 3. Can I do that now? Very good. Here we go. Moving to item number 3, which is the chairman's report, and I will keep it
Sorry,
very
Mr.
short.
Chair. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Let me just very much thank Brian Wong again for joining us tonight, and he'll probably pop off now. Thank you.
Brian, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye.
Okay. Let me try this again. Moving on to item number 3. So my chairman's update, very simple. We have extended the contract with HMMH for 1 year. And as we have discussed before, included in the packet is the scope of work. We will go up for an RFP next year when we get ready to renew it again. So this was a one-time extension. And secondly, we are still working on the website. Our target right now is October for a launch, and I don't have any other information on that. Ms. Wolin, do you have anything to add about the website?
That was it. Thank you.
Very good. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions any members have about my balloon report. And I don't see any. Do we have any hands raised or any questions from the members?
This is Justin, Mr. Chair.
Oh,
Can you
Justin,
hear me?
please.
Yes, I
Absolutely.
just wanted to say thank you for extending the contract. HMMH appreciates it and looks forward to another year of providing technical support. So thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you for all your hard work. Appreciate that. Any questions or comments from members? Having none, then we will open it to public comment on this item. Do we have any public comment?
Hi, thank you. As a reminder for those joining by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. Chairman Ortiz, I don't see any hands raised for this item.
Very good. Having none, then we will move on to item number 5, report from the San Francisco Airport Commission. I have it listed as Ira Sartero, but I believe Mr. Sartero is not able to be with us. So I'm sorry, Doug Yekel is going to report for us. Welcome, Mr. Yekel. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Chairman Ortiz. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm going to be covering for Ivar. He's out of town right now. I've just got a couple of comments, and then I'll turn it over to Bert, who's got a few updates to provide as well. So first of all, an update on COVID-19 and how it's affecting SFO. We were seeing a slight increase in passenger activity as cities and states were starting to reopen. But obviously, as cases now have surged across the country, we're seeing a retreat in passenger activity and a retreat and a deferral in airline plans to resume flights. So where we stand right now, our passenger activity is about 87% lower than it would normally be at this time of year. And airlines are only operating about a little over a third of the flights that they were originally planning to operate in August. So obviously quite an impact, and starting to impact employees as well. You know, CARES Act funding for airlines runs out at the end of September. So a lot of airlines are already gearing up for large layoffs. United recently announcing plans to lay off up to 6,500 employees at SFO, and Alaska Airlines and American Airlines also announcing plans to lay off hundreds of people at SFO. These are people that live in the communities that we represent. So obviously quite an economic impact there. The other thing I wanted to talk about on a lighter note was an update on GBAS. Since our last roundtable meeting, we finally received approval for a contract with Honeywell that will allow us to install the physical hardware that'll make the exploration of GBAS technically possible. So you may have noticed that during this protracted period when the outcome really wasn't certain, kind of our messaging and our communications on this tapered off a little bit, really not knowing if this was something we could pursue. Now that it is, we're really going to ramp up the level of dialogue that we have about GBAS. And the first step is the launch of a new section on flysfo.com that really talks about GBAS. And that section is live now. It's within the noise section of our website. And it includes some frequently asked questions and answers. These are questions that came up in some previous public communications around GBAS. I think this was a question that came up in the last roundtable meeting. So this is a section of of our Fly SFO website that is now live. And then the other thing is in each roundtable meeting, we'll be presenting updates on GBAS, and then also at the technical working group, we'd like to reinvigorate some of that discussion. So I know we just had one, but the next technical working group, we would like to make a presentation and really refresh some of the what we call innovative procedures. These are procedures that do not exist today that might offer some relief to communities that GBAS could support. And this is really communities where landing patterns fly over these communities. So more of a commitment that we're going to really ramp up our level of dialogue about GBAS. And with that, I'll take a pause before handing it over to Bert to see if there's any questions or comments.
Thank you, Doug. Any questions, Mr. Yekel, from the members? Having none, then we will move right on to Bert, and then we'll open it to the public after that.
Sorry,
Thank you,
Chair.
Mr. Yekel.
We do
Yes,
have Councilmember Hindi raised his hand.
thank you. So, Councilmember Hindi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Doug, thank you for your report. Question on GBAS. What is the involvement in cities? Definitely Foster City would love to be involved in this at this stage. What is the process on this, and how do we get involved with you other than the technical group of the roundtable?
Right. So really, we envision the technical working group as the place where we can do a deep dive on individual procedures and allow folks to get information, ask questions, and provide feedback. So number one, we'd appreciate your involvement in the technical working group so we can talk about procedures one-on-one. And then also in this roundtable forum, this is the place where we really talk about our plans to advance innovative procedures into the IFP gateway so that they could be evaluated by the FAA. And if you recall, and we can refresh this in a future meeting, really what we picture doing is kind of a multi-pronged approach when it comes to innovative procedures. And the first being that we vet it through the technical working group. We present it in this forum before we submit it to the IFP gateway. Once it's submitted to the FAA, they'll go through their own environmental assessment. And if it comes out on the other side where it's feasible, then we've got another opportunity, kind of a go, no go, if you will. So that's the second opportunity really before this thing becomes a published procedure. So again, we'll do a refresher in a future meeting in terms of how we see that flow, and we'll make sure that we take you through that. We presented that previously, but that was a good 2 years ago or so. So we'll include that in the next meeting.
Very good, thank you. And just another question to clarify: how many employees did you say United will be looking at laying off? 6,500?
So they've issued what are called WARN notices, which are required by federal law anytime there's the potential for employees to be laid off. So that's always going to be the maximum number. And they've issued WARN notices to 6,500 employees at SFO. That doesn't mean that number will get furloughed. That's the maximum that could get furloughed. Obviously, they're working through voluntary early retirements and other types of mitigation, but still probably going to be some sizable layoffs at SFO.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And any other questions from members? And I'm going to take that as a no, so we will move on to Bert. Ms. Montes, we're good?
We do have hands raised from the public, but I don't know if we want to just take those at the end of the item.
Let's do that at the end after Bert's presentation.
Thank you.
So with that, let's go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm really excited to website and yes. So welcome to our new website. During our last meeting, I sort of teased that we had a new website coming be revealed at our next meeting. We're here. I want to say we listened to comments, suggestions that we've been receiving over the years, and we're excited. We have our marketing communications did an outstanding job with the help of the noise office and applying all that we heard. So here's our landing page. A lot of beautiful imagery. We have some new videos. The first is the SFO flight operations. I'm not going to show you any of the videos, or dig real deep into it tonight, but I'll be pinpointing and highlighting items that I'd like for us to go away and look at on our own. And so with this, we have our mission, our historical firsts, and items like that for the SFO noise office. The second tab was the item we jumped into last time, which is our noise portal, Insightful. If you haven't done that already, I really recommend you go there. We've received a lot of very good feedback. But when you do go there, be sure you plug in your address or your drop a pin so it'll be close to you, and you'll be at the location you need to be to get all the feature-rich experience. We talked about this last time too. Right now, it's our aircraft noise flight tracking called WebTrack. We also have the ability through here to file a noise report. In this section here, we're talking about SFO flight patterns and operations. On the next tab here, we also have the really good images that have been updated for our West plan. No, this is not every procedure in and out of SFO. This is a overview of SFO arrivals and departures, San Jose arrivals and departures, and Oakland arrivals and departures. We also have the same for the reverse flow, which is called Southeast Plan. And this is done during inclement weather or the winds are blowing out of the south typically. And these images are really good. They also feed into this one, which we realized we didn't have on our website for a long time, which was the labeled runways for SFO. The page that we were on a moment ago talks about the labeling and how it works. And so we also get into the details of those. Modernizing airspace at SFO is a fantastic way to jump into the FAs, next gen, Metroplex, see what's changed. So you can look at flight procedures in 2014 in the Bay Area and 2017, where you can see how they become concentrated. The effects of next gen, community impact, and the timeline going forward. This is one of our new ones for you. Very proud of this one. It's our noise action plan. It's a living document focused on quieter planes, the quieter procedures, working with communities, land use planning and mitigation, and the noise program. We plan to grow this, as well as putting the timelines to the more easily attained items in it. And we'll be updating this quarterly. So we like for everybody to take a look at that. And you may even find your own items for your preferences appearing here if they're not already. Tracking noise. This is information about our noise system. We have what we have in the way of noise monitors, the locations, how to request portable noise monitors, and noise modeling. This is one of our really fantastic ones. The initiatives, we have our big ones here, obviously wake vortex generators, GBAS, the Fly Quiet Awards, and how to get involved. But under the wake vortex generators, people always asking, what percentage of the airlines are complete? So we have here how many airplanes within a given airline that we're in discussions with and are reporting are not complete. So we've got some inroads in. This is going to be changing. It's a rapid changing landscape right now with the coronavirus and everything going on. So we'll see that shifting as it comes through, and we'll be updating that regularly. GBAS, this is the big one that Doug led us into earlier, ground-based augmentation system. We were able to incorporate much of what was given to us through the Palo Alto meeting, through questions we received via email and the website. Most of it's here. It is an evolving site. It's going to be updated quarterly. And we put that right here as a commitment that we're going to be updating it regularly. And so we invite you to come back and check that one regularly. Our initiatives to tackle noise, how to get involved. Well, this is where we showcase the Roundtable and the Federal Aviation Administration. where the contacts are, how to get in touch, how to find out more information. And this is where we are hoping that people will come for that. Our sound installation program, they've done a fantastic job here with bringing in questions that have grown over the years. First of all, the video that's here, it's fairly short, very concise, very to the point, worth watching and going through it. You can see here the FAQ section. It's pretty in-depth. Our reports, the same old reports we've had, new look to them though, as far as the page, the airport noise monitoring reports, the airport director's report, and the fly quiet report. Our noise FAQ page, we have pulled out the biggest questions that we have over time, put them here. And then to close out, I wanted to show you this beautiful glossary. It's really in depth and really involved. We are hoping that you'll enjoy it. I'm expecting, after hearing what I heard from Roundtable members in the past, we may find some with this page up on their devices while they're sitting at the dais, looking at terms that we bring up all too frequently without giving the full definition of and use the acronyms. And back to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Bert, and thank you, Doug. I appreciate the presentation. With that, I'll open it first to members to see if anybody has questions from Bert about his presentation. So, Ms. Montes?
We do not have any hands raised from the members, Chair.
Very good. So then now we will go to our public comments. I believe you said there was a few. So Ms. Montes, I'll put it in your hands.
Sorry,
Okay,
was
Chair.
Carol Ford? It looked like you had your hand up. Did you have your hand up? She had her physical hand up, not her electronic.
Okay.
Yes, I couldn't find my electronic hand, but all I wanted, so I did the old school way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't see you.
It's okay. I just wanted to thank you, Bert. That's beautiful. That's a really beautiful website. And the photographs are gorgeous, especially the one of the tower and some of the airplanes. It's really well done and I'm very impressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Okay, any other comments from members?
No more comments from members.
Then Ms. Montes, I will put in your hands for open it to public comment.
Thank you. And just as a reminder to anyone calling by phone, you may press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. And we do have a few hands raised, so I will hand it off to Janneth Lujan for spoken comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Like Angela mentioned, we do have 3 hand raised. I would want to ask that you please identify your city. The first caller is Darlene Yaklin, followed by Jennifer L. And it looks like we now have 4 speakers. So Darlene, please accept my invitation and begin speaking.
Thank you, first of all, Bert, for the presentation and highlights. I look forward to reading the GBAS information. And my question is to Doug. Last meeting in June, Ivar had shared that he made a request for 3 permanent monitors to the FAA, that the FAA would approve that outside of the noise contour. And I wanted to see if you had any status on that, or perhaps the FAA attendees, Fabia or Sky, had an update. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll answer this, and Bert, feel free to jump in. We are still receiving some guidance from the FAA on that. I think that the first starting point is going to be before the implementation of permanent monitors is going to be the deployment of portable noise monitors, and I believe that Bert's team has identified several locations to deploy those and is planning to get those out starting later this month. Bert, can you confirm that?
I can confirm that we have come up with the locations that we would like to propose to the cities we'd like to go to. And hopefully the cities will agree with us or provide better locations for us. We'll then evaluate and then go proceed with that. But yes, hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be out monitoring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jennifer L., followed by Peter Grace. Jennifer, please identify your city and also accept this request. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, thank you, Angela. My question is about GBAS to Mr. Yackel. And Bert, thank you for the information about the new website. The most important questions that came out of the presentations on GBAS a while back ago have to do with the environmental review process, because you seem to have made a distinction between overlays and what you call innovative procedures, and making an assumption that the overlays are going to use a categorical exclusion. But as you know, these are very controversial, and especially since right now there is an EA process possibly going for procedures for southern arrivals, and there's a lot of controversy about the way pirate has been done. So this is a question really for FAA and SFO together, to be able to be clear about the type of consultation you're really doing with the public, because it's not a consultation if you introduce a new technology and something completely different. You know, a CADEX is meant for the purchase of office supplies, that type of activity. It's not really intended to pass through something that is completely new. And I look forward to all the innovations that are going to be possible with GBAS. But if they don't decrease noise, it's going to be a problem. And we need to know that beforehand, anyone who's affected. As far as the noise monitors, I also am glad that things are moving along, but I think it's really incumbent upon you to be clear as to what the FAA side of this is. Do they have to give an approval or not? Or if this is something that SFO is making a decision about. Great that there's going to be portables, but this issue was about a permanent noise monitor. So that also needs some clarity, and I'll appreciate any transparency and clarity that you can provide about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next, we have Mark Shull, followed by Peggy. Mark, please accept this request. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, yeah, and my question is for Doug Yackel on the GBAS landing system. The initial modeling showed that there would be it would cause increased noise over Palo Alto. And one of the problems from your technical consultants that they described was the fact that in order to basically decrease noise or keep it the same, the arrival stars, the standard terminal arrivals, on the other side of the GBAS part of the approach would have to be modified, but there were really no plans to do that. And so we pushed, well, let's talk to can you talk to the FAA and push to do that so that in fact it doesn't increase noise over Palo Alto, but perhaps lowers it or minimally keeps it somewhat the same. I just wonder if there's any updates on that.
I would say that this is why we want to reinvigorate some of that discussion. I think, Mark, you were probably part of some of these previous sessions, and really now that we know this is a technology we can move forward with, we want to get back in a community forum and talk about what maybe you've already seen, but talk about this further. But again, this is a technology that's unproven, it's untested. We don't know yet what the result will be. You know that our commitment is that our goal is that this is a technology that offers a positive impact, and if it appears that it will have a negative impact, we won't pursue it, but we really won't know until we try.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Peggy, followed by Rebecca Ward. So Peggy, please accept this request. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Peggy McLaughlin from Hillsborough. Bert, I have a couple of questions for you on the new website and the monitors. 3 questions. Does the new online complaint system count complaints that are not linked to an overhead flight?
Yes, it will.
And so that's an adjustment from previously?
It tries to correlate to a flight, but it still counts them, same as our old system.
Sorry. My understanding was the old system did not capture complaints that were not linked to an old flight, to an overhead flight. Is that inaccurate?
It is inaccurate. It tries to correlate them, but we do count them. So either way, we count them.
Okay, thank you. Can you give me a status on the new monitoring reports? The last director's report I saw only included information up till November. Has that been updated?
We have. In fact, it's in the roundtable packet and I believe online.
There was no page citation associated with the director's report this month.
I'm sorry for that. It is. It's on the website, in the Roundtable website, and it's towards the beginning of the packet. The airport did provide us November through, I believe it was May now. We have
April.
included.
Yeah.
April, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, we apologize for that. There was a rather large database issue with the noise reports. We didn't lose any. We just found that they were going all over the place and we wanted to make sure they were straightened out. We had some complainants as far away as New York when in reality they were in the Bay Area.
Okay, great.
We had to fix that.
And then are the new monitors now functioning to capture ground-based noise? It was my understanding they had to be further tweaked to be capturing ground-based noise.
It's true. I spoke with our vendor recently. When the vendor said that the monitors could capture ground-based noise, it's true. Question is, you kind of have to do either or. So we received some recommendations and I proposed a few ideas myself. We're going to be putting out a couple portables and we also have what's called a ground run-up trailer. And so we have ground run-up devices to capture ground run-ups. So when aircraft do engine testing on airfield, we capture those, but we also have a trailer. So I'm proposing that we move it next to the fence line near Highway 101 between the ends of runway 1. And we're going to change that over from a weighted monitor to a pure weight monitor, which we can do and just more for Justin, I guess, but FFT processing on it later, where we can get some real good pure noise information. And you would take that along with the noise monitor in the community, and they have to be exact in the same frequency range to you to be able to say, yes, it's that airplane. And so we're going to be doing some of that testing.
Great, thank you, Bert. And is there somewhere where this
Sorry,
is
Peggy, I'm sorry. I'm way over the 2 minutes, so I think I need to move on to the next comment. So sorry to
I was
interrupt
just
you.
going to say, is there somewhere that this is goes into more detail? Because I know we can't take any more time.
We just came up with this, so we'll be doing it more towards the ground-based noise subcommittee.
Great, thank you, Bert.
Thank you, Peggy. Angela, we move on to the next public comment.
Thank you. We have 3 speakers left. We have Rebecca Ward, followed by Peter Grace. Rebecca, please accept this request, unmute your microphone, and begin speaking.
Hi, this is Rebecca Ward from Palo Alto. I actually have a question for both Bert and Doug. Doug, I know that you've mentioned, and it's been mentioned previously, that you plan to do an overlay. And the first question I have is, as you're aware, and I know Bert for sure is aware, the Surfer Star is being transitioned to the BSR Star. They had the full working group meeting way back in June of last year. I don't know if, Bert, at some point you're going to give an update to the roundtable, because I'm sure communities like Menlo Park, who get significant traffic from Surfer, would definitely be interested in that. So which one do you plan to overlay? Would it be the current Surfer, which is, you know, highly flawed in its design, or is it the transition to the BSR Star? Maybe you don't know the answer to that. I'm guessing by silence.
Yeah, I do not. And if Bert doesn't, we'll have to get back to you on that one.
I can't answer that actually. So
Do you know when they're going to do the
Arrivals and
transition?
approaches. We're talking very different animals here. So an arrival, it comes in from afar to an approach. GBAS is only approaches, so close into the airport, and it wouldn't be either the Big Sur or the Surfer.
No, but it would be the connection off of that goes into, I'm very aware of how the layout is, but it would be the connection off of that. And what I'm trying to figure out, because that hasn't been designed yet, or maybe it has, but we don't know. So moving on from that one, is it also going to include Bodega East, Doug? Because that would help get traffic off of the peninsula if we could get that as part of a standard arrival.
These sound like some good topics that maybe, Rebecca, if you're able to join our next technical working group, we'll have the consultant with us that actually is involved in that overlay. So I might offer that as a good place to participate.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
That would also be one of the future arrivals.
Okay, I think that's a very good idea. I think that we're getting into the weeds a little bit, but I think that's a great topic for the technical working group. So thank you for that question. Ms. Montes, on to the next one.
So thank you, Rebecca. We have Peter Grace, followed by Mary Jo Fremont. Peter, please accept this request, unmute your microphone and begin speaking. Also, please identify the city you're calling from. Peter?
Yeah, my name is Peter Grace. I'm with Brisbane. No, Bert, wonderful website. Thanks a lot. And I particularly like being able to see the director's reports all in one place and be able to access them. I'm wondering whether you can simplify also and show the temporary monitor noise reports also in the same place so that we can go and look at what's happening by cities over time and compare. Otherwise, what I've got to do is go back through the meeting packages to pull out the noise reports, which is difficult. And while we're talking about simplifying, can you also put in the quarterly Title 21 reports in the same place so we can review them? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we, with that, Ms. Montes, we'll go to the next one, please.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have Mary Jo Fremont. Mary Jo, please accept this request, unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is probably for Bert. So good to hear from you, Bert, that there will be more permanent monitors installed. I just hope that they will be under the flight path where most of the SFO operations occur. I have a couple of clarification questions for you. On the portable permanent monitors, if a city wants one, do they request to SFO or do they request to the subcommittee that was created? That's my first question.
Let me say this. We will answer that. We have a subcommittee report coming up, and I think that would be appropriate for that one. And we can discuss what changes we made. But I just want to move it along. So go ahead, Mary Jo.
So second clarification question, is on the noise monitoring. So placement is one thing, but methodology is very important, as you know, Bert. And methodology, what I mean by that is the threshold that are used, the minimum duration above the threshold, and how these thresholds are related to the ambient noise levels, because all of this methodology determines what counts as a noise event. And there was a discussion a month ago, way before COVID, about reviewing this methodology. And I'm not sure if anyone is reviewing this for these noise monitors, be it permanent, portable, whatever, it doesn't matter. The methodology is very important. Otherwise, you may not be comparing apples to apples. So if somebody is working on it, great, let us know. But if not, then you need to figure out the best way on how do we get a review of this methodology. Maybe this is the airport noise office working with Justin. Maybe it's the technical working group, but please let us know what's happening on the methodology part, Bert. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Chairman Ortiz, there are no more hands raised for this item.
That was actually a real good question, Mary Jo. Thank you. And I think that might be something to add to some of our future either working group or portable noise monitor subcommittee meetings. Yeah, that was very interesting one. So thank you. With that, we have moving on to item number 6 in our regular agenda. And that is, for me, we had a wonderful meeting for the technical working group. I have to thank the FAA. The representatives there were just great at answering our questions. They went way into the weeds. And again, the select committee and this body have been for years asking to have the stick departure reviewed, and I think that finally we're getting some traction on that. Some nighttime operations to go through the night, and it was a wonderful, very meeting, and they answered a lot of questions. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this item tonight because we did go into very much a lot of detail at that meeting, and so if you do want a lot of detail, I just refer you back to that meeting. Again, they were wonderful with all their questions. I want to say, Sky and Fabi, thank you. That was a great meeting. And with that, I will open it up for any member questions. Do we have any questions?
Yes,
from
Vice Mayor Schneider.
Thank you, Chair. My question is for the technical working group and ground-based noise, and I would imagine legislative subcommittee. Are we recording those, or are we just taking minutes from them? And that might help the public who was, or other people who weren't able to attend.
Excellent question. Thank you so much. Angela, could you answer that question?
Yes,
How do we access?
They are being recorded right now. We have the audio file available to upload, but we are trying to work on converting everything into a YouTube video. But that'll take a little longer, but the audio file is available and will be up on the website by tomorrow.
Right. This meeting, I think if we could upload the video too, I think would be wonderful. The packet that they brought, the information that they brought, the graphics were very helpful. And so I'm hoping that we can put those up on YouTube. I think that would be really, really helpful. Any other questions from members? Thank you, Council Member or Vice Mayor Schneider. That was a real good question.
You're welcome.
I do not see any more virtual hands raised from the members.
Very good. So with that, one more second. Anybody else have questions? Again, great meeting. I encourage you all to go watch it once it's on YouTube. And with that, if I have no other comments or questions, then I will open it up for public comment. Ms. Montes, you want to just give us the rules again?
Yes, thank you, Chair. For anyone joining by phone, if you would like to speak, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. And I do see some hands raised, so I will pass on to Janneth for spoken comments.
Thank you, Angela. So I have 3 hands raised at the moment. We'll start off with Liz Lopez, followed by Jennifer T. Liz, please accept this request, unmute your microphone and begin speaking. Liz?
Yes, hi, this is Liz Lopez from San Francisco. So I did attend the working meeting at Night Hush.
Oh, good.
And just one of the things I noticed is that it took about like 2 to 3 like really knowledgeable follow-up questions to get like an accurate, transparent answer from the FAA. So I just wanted to make note of that. I think that people who were attending and actually knew what was being discussed kind of realized that as well. I also think that a lot of people were blindsided by the fact that the FAA changed the time range, which was originally from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then they moved that out to like 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. for the Night Hush, which is basically an overwater procedure that's supposed to move flights that are coming over San Francisco area to over the water. So I just wanted to know, I know that Ivar Sotero was attending some of the Night Hush meetings, and I just wanted to know if anybody on the membership was aware that the time was, I guess, I don't want to say revoked, but they basically, instead of having a lot of flights move from San Francisco to over the water, at 1 a.m., it's really just moving like maybe like 5 to 10 flights. My understanding, like from 1 to like 3 a.m. is when there's some flights over San Francisco. So instead of there like being an actual movement of flights during the sleeping hours, like, like 30 or whatever, 40, it's just a very low number of flights. So I would like to know if anybody knew that this was happening as far as the time change.
Yeah, I think, and I'll just answer that real quickly. I think that was announced in advance of the technical working group meeting, and it was pretty clear during the technical working group meeting. So I don't think at this point there is any surprise as far as that. So I will leave it at that, and we will go on. Any other comments, Ms. Montes?
I have 2 more hands raised. I have Jennifer L, followed by Jennifer T. I ask that you please identify your city. That would be helpful. Jennifer L, please accept this request, unmute your microphone, and begin speaking.
Jennifer. I want to follow up on this. What I found interesting about the technical meeting was that there was an environmental assessment announced. And as Mr. Vetter said, this is more than they usually do. Well, and as I mentioned, it's 100% new to us. But one of the benefits of having appropriate noise screenings is that we really want to be able to measure success and how it's being defined, so that things that start out in a project, such as relieving communities of nighttime noise, how do they end up afterwards, and what are the real gains? What are the benefits that are coming to the community? And so, it's very disappointing and very difficult when the project starts out and as the chair mentioned, he said the select committee and your roundtable has been asking for this. Well, what the select committee was asking for was relief for citizens. And what's happening is that a lot of these projects are just being, curated to do something that isn't achieving the objective. So I really, and then we talked about metrics, the need for having alternative metrics to measure, to do the noise screenings. So I think that's where the focus should be. It's not just being able to complete a project and say that it's been done when it's not achieving the goals or the intent of what the community asked for. And on that note, I just remind that the select committee in particular asked for nighttime relief for Mid-Peninsula residents as well. And we haven't yet had a project being pushed for that. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. We have one more comment, and that's from Jennifer T. Jennifer, please accept this request, unmute your microphone and begin speaking, and please also identify the city that you're calling from. Jennifer?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I sat in the technical working group meeting recently for Night Hush, and a couple of things that I wanted to note, and I had brought them up during that meeting as well, and that is the potential, based on that presentation, of a shifting of airplane noise onto the peninsula cities and or the South Bay cities. And that could be problematic, especially in the middle of the night, even at higher altitude. Kathleen from Anna Eshu's office, Congressman Eshu's office, brought up some really excellent points. And it was very clear. She was knowledgeable and knew all sorts of things. But what I gleaned from that is that there might be a possibility of those flights flying further over the ocean toward the south and not cutting across densely populated areas, potentially. And so that may be something that we want to look at for Night Hush, so that we are not shifting noise onto densely populated areas in the peninsula and South Bay. And I also had a question as far as what the ETA is on this, what the guesstimated implementation date would be for night hush, just so we can prepare. Thank you.
Great. Jennifer, would you mind telling us what city you're calling from?
Sorry about that, Sunnyvale.
Great, thank you so much. And I don't know, I don't know that the FAA is prepared to answer any questions, but as far as the timeline, I think it was discussed in the technical working group, but I just don't remember what the timeline was. So I don't know, Favi, if you guys would want to comment on that, or we could just follow up later.
Chairman Ortiz, Skylar on here. We don't have a timeline on that. Once the environmental review is complete, we'll get back with the roundtable and coordinate next steps.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Sky. And Jennifer, thank you for the questions. There's some good questions. I think some of that was discussed in detail, and but it's worth revisiting. So thank you for that. Did we have one more, Janneth?
Yes, we do. Next, we have Jane Manning. Jane, please accept this request, unmute your microphone and begin speaking, and also please identify the city you're calling from.
Hi, I'm calling from the upper part of the Santa Cruz Mountains in unincorporated Santa Cruz County. And we are affected quite a bit by nighttime flights on the stick transitions going southward. And I did want to just indicate that I had written a letter previously to the technical working group in suggesting that in order to prevent more traffic across the peninsula at these times of the night as a result of the night hush changes, that some of the offshore transition would be used preferentially. Because as Jennifer was saying, that was indicated as one of the goals for any changes that would be made to this route. And the second thing was a question. I wanted to say that in the agenda packet, it's impossible to see what the different layers were that were provided during the presentation. So that adds yet more impetus if the video feed that could be provided for that particular meeting that the chair was indicating was so positive. If we could also be able to see those layers, that would be extremely helpful. Thank you very much.
Sorry, would you clarify what the layers that you're referring to?
You indicated in your ask to the FAA that you wanted to see layers that showed transitions that were affected by the possible changes that the FAA is potentially proposing.
Mr. Chair, I can respond to that real quickly, which is that we have, the FAA did provide us with a very extensive file that shows the layers. It's a rather large file, and we will work out the technical challenge of posting that to the website in one manner or another. It may take a few days, but we will do that.
Very good. Okay, so thank you for your comments, Ms. Manning. With that, Janet, do we have any other comments?
Chairman Ortiz, there are no more hands raised.
Great, thank you very much. And with that, then we will move on to item number 7, which is an update from our portable noise monitoring placement subcommittee. And I have our Chair McConnell to present on that. So Terry, do you have anything to share with us?
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Chair Ortiz. I do have one request, and that's just for my notes. We had Jennifer L. on the previous comments who did not give her city, and I think that would be helpful if the commenters would give their cities. So, but moving on to my report. First of all, the subcommittee and staff have been working to establish a process for placement of the portable noise monitors. We basically got some more with the most recent funding, and we're trying to create a standard request form so that the committee can compare apples to apples on who's asking for assistance with noise. The things that the committee has been considering is that we want to include communities that are impacted by noise but lack historical data. So areas that have not been consistently monitored for noise. We also want to consider areas and communities that have been underserved and requests by Roundtable members. So we have been working with the airport and staff to come up with a form that can be submitted by the public, by cities, and by Roundtable members that can hit these informational gaps and work out a way that we can include areas that have been typically underserved. So I understand Bert's already working on the first group of portable noise monitors and placement in areas including East Palo Alto, Bellhaven, and Pacifica, and that Bert and Justin are going to work together to figure out how to best present the committee with historic communities that may have been have had less monitoring than others. So that's our general consensus. We have not met during this summer break. So we're trying to still work out all those details.
Thank you so much, Councilmember O'Connor. That is, again, thank you for taking this on. I really appreciate that. And with that, I will open it to members for any comments or any questions of our subcommittee chair.
Yes, we have 2 members' hands raised, one being Vice Mayor Schneider and then Justin Cook. So, Vice Mayor.
Mute button in. And we can't hear you.
Darn unmute button. I was just wondering if you wanted Justin to go before me because he may be adding to what Mayor O'Connell said. I'm happy to go either way.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Why not?
Justin,
Yeah.
Do you have comments you want to share before we go forward?
It was just in regards to a public comment before regarding the how to specifically request a permanent portable.
Okay,
so
please go ahead.
It was a clarification.
Councilmember Schneider, do you mind if we just go ahead? Let's go with that clarification. I think that was an important point.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify how should someone in the community request a permanent portable? Is it through the SFO noise office, who then will provide that request to the subcommittee, or I think it's worth clarifying that for them. I think they previously asked that, so I bring that up.
Okay, let me go with N, and then we can go and the chair O'Connell can comment on that. Go ahead, Vice Mayor Schneider.
This is a little bit, thank you, Chair, a little bit chicken and an egg, because I'm going to report out on our ground-based noise meeting on the next agenda item. But for the portable noise monitor group, one of the things that we've done in the one meeting we've had since COVID shelter in place is an understanding or a hope that some of these portable monitors could be used if we approve the spectral analysis study that then shows that we need to move some monitors in different areas in the cities around the airport to try to figure out where backblast noise is moving to. So, but we're not quite ready to do a request yet, but I would hate to see that all, if I remember, it's 8 portable monitors, or is it 10, are suddenly all assigned out for the next year while we're waiting for better data to guess where these portables could be used for backblast noise.
And is your thought that we might be ready before 1 year to recommendations?
It all depends on the funding for the spectral analysis. I would love to see it happen before a year, but to be honest, then with COVID, there's so many fewer flights. It's not at all like what it was in February. So, you know, but I just wanted Chair O'Connell to know that that is something we've been talking about at Ground-Based Noise. Keep us in mind.
So I'll try to answer the questions as best I can. Right now, the first step to request a temporary noise monitor is to go through the SFO channels and through Bert's office. If they have more requests than they can handle, it will then come back to the subcommittee. And at that point, the subcommittee is going to weigh all of the criteria, whether it is historically unreported, whether it is communities of concern and underserved communities, and requests by Roundtable members. We're going to take that on and weigh those criteria as best possible. At this point, we don't really know how many extra requests we're going to have, or how many areas that we're unable to serve. So that's going to be something that we work out as we go along. Basically, we got an additional, and correct me if I'm wrong, we got an additional 8 monitors. 4 of those are going into, you know, the permanent rotation that we have normally seen. 4 will be available for special request. So how those get placed and whether it's for a 12-week or a 4-week program is going to depend on how many we get and what the criteria of what kind of information we're trying to obtain from those. We need to work that out, and until we have excess of requests that have been vetted, we really won't know what those are. Does that answer?
No, I think that's very helpful. A follow-up question, Chair, if I could. So if I remember from reading the reports, the current rotation of portable monitors is Portola Valley, Brisbane, Woodside, and Burlingame. Am I leaving somebody out?
No.
I thought every once in a while we saw a Daly City and a Pacifica.
No, okay, so can I ask Bert, can you comment here and just kind of make sure that we're all understanding the same information? I just want to make sure that we're all clear on this process and make sure that you're okay with it too.
Yes, I'd be happy to. We have 8 portables. One of them is currently replacing Site 28 in Redwood City due to the school district tearing down and putting in a new building there, and our noise monitor was in the way. So we're down 1. Let's see. As far as my understanding, what we were working with the subcommittee was, we were to have 4, they were to have 4. Yes, there would be give and take depending on what's going on. We have obligations to the city of Brisbane for 2, once a quarter. And then we have obligation to Portola Valley and Woodside for 2 monitors total, same time of year, which is currently going on. And that's right after the Brisbane monitors. So as long as we fall into a cycle, we did find a hiccup with our vendor where the new system likes to have the same monitor. So example monitor number 101, go back to the same place every time. I told them that's not feasible. We just can't do that. We're lucky if we get that. So they're working through that. But other than that, we should be fine. And as far as our list goes, yes, we have a list of about, I think it's 8 names right now. We're just getting ready to start back up. One of the lead lists for me was Vice Mayor Schneider, to go ahead and get out to your location. I've been promising you that one for over a year. And so we'd like to meet up on that one and do that. and then we'll progress through our list. We don't have any overflow right now that would spill over to what Councilmember O'Connell was speaking about, but we're also talking about doing the 3 locations we agreed to: Palo Alto Menlo Park border, East Palo Alto, and Pacifica.
Okay, so
I'd also
Tim.
like to say that I think that it's important to the subcommittee that some of the underserved areas of San Francisco, Hunters Point, the southern portion of San Francisco also get some monitoring so that we know what noise impacts they're feeling, because we feel that they're lacking historical data. And so we also want to try to fit that into the schedule. Unfortunately, with the COVID going on, we have been a little bit lacking in our meetings and getting together to try to work out where the actual needs and the actual wants of the roundtable are, so that we understand the impacts of the noise that's traveling outside of our member agencies.
So in my mind, what we were trying to accomplish with the subcommittee is to create a transparent forum where we can discuss how to prioritize where these monitors go, and we can recommend them. And I think so that I think still rings true. So we will leave it with that. And with that, I will open it for any other, actually we were in comments. So any other comments from members?
Yes, we actually have Councilmember DiGiovanni. She's on phone, so she has her hands raised.
Perfect. Councilmember.
Thank you very much. First, Councilmember O'Connell, thank you for your extensive report. Yeah, I'm interested in, when you were mentioning the areas of San Francisco, sorry, my laryngitis, the Bay Shore area in Daly City, which is totally underserved. Seems to be a lot of problems over there. We are under COVID, so I'll probably be interested in pursuing that as well. But I appreciate all the hard work, and thank you, Chair, and everyone. But that is totally underserved and connected with Brisbane and with the areas of San Francisco that you're speaking of. So that is a big area of problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any other members who have comments? Questions?
Yes, Councilmember Borgens.
Councilmember Borgens, please go ahead.
Thank you. In the report, it was mentioned that the monitor in Redwood City was no longer applicable because of a development. Is there an opportunity for us to find another location? Have we researched that, or did you say you did and there was nothing?
That would be something Bert would need to answer. I could not answer that.
The monitor at Redwood City is directly under the Bodega arrival path down the peninsula. It does capture noise and it does report back to us. However, the most noise it gets is from San Carlos Airport being so close. And
Smile, Carol, don't smile.
Half Moon Bay.
Okay.
If the committee wants to recommend relocation, now is a fine time. We'll tell the school district to stop what they're doing, go down and get the portable and be done with that.
Well, that development's a way off. It hasn't been approved. So that's why I'm saying, because you're talking about the one on Bradford Street. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, forget the address and the school right offhand, but anyway.
It was a school site itself.
It is out on the school, yes.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have an offline conversation and then I'll just get a little more information, because I clearly want this to be a fair assessment of the noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if the San Carlos Airport noise is, if we're going to be collecting that also, is that what we're looking for? I don't think so, right, Bert?
Not particularly, but I mean, aircraft noise is subjective. Jets may bother some people, props may bother another. So We're supposed to be gathering SFO noise, yes. And that's why we would be focusing on that though.
But where is the other monitor in Redwood City, if I may ask?
I'm looking for it right now.
I know I remember seeing that. I'm sorry. I want to say it was
Gill.
John Gill.
Yes.
That's where it was, or that's where you were. That's where it's not going to be. That's where it is. Okay.
Both, both actually. So we are on the northwest corner. Our monitor is. We located the portable onto a rooftop of the building on the northeast corner, and so we're making do.
Okay. Okay. And that's okay to stay there? Is that the one you can keep or you have to remove?
Well, it's being moved. The school district will put in a new mast for us, our old mast.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Once everything's done.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Borgens. Any other comments, Angela?
We do not have any more hands raised from members.
Very good. With that, then we will open it to members of the public. Would you want to give us the rules, Ms. Montes?
Yes, thank you, Chair. As a reminder, if you wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand through the Zoom feature. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. And we do have some hands raised, so I will hand off to Janneth.
Thank you, Angela. We have 3 hands raised currently for this item. I want to ask that you please identify your city in case we didn't capture it the first time. So first we have Jennifer L, followed by Mark Shull. Jennifer, please accept this request.
Let me just do a reminder. This is a comment period. It's not a question and answer. So let's try to limit it to just comments, not questions.
Thank you. Jennifer, please accept this request. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Thank you, and apologies for not having mentioned my city to Councilmember O'Connell. My name is Jennifer Landesman, and I'm from Palo Alto. In terms of criteria, I strongly encourage you to consider pre and post implementation of new procedures or bigger amendments to be part of the criteria. The Select Committee voted unanimously to suggest that any recommendations and any changes have pre and post implementation noise screening or noise measurements. Then it's really unclear. I heard portable and permanent, mixed. And I think it's really important to know what the process is for, I think I understand the portables, but what it is for permanent. For portables, to have a list of who's asking, who got on the list when. And it's most important to understand what the issues are regarding the amount of noise monitors, because in my view, if an airport has a lot of procedures and it's doing a lot of changes to the airspace, they need to invest more into that. So maybe there will need to be some more noise monitors for any of the new procedures that are being tested for let's say GBAS. But the key part that's missing is what is the FAA's role and what is the airport's role? Because right now it still sounds like SFO needs to ask permission, and I'm not understanding that because it sounds like it's really an airport role. And lastly, I'm just going to mention that a while back ago, and I've heard this a couple of times, that even though cities who are not in the roundtable, the airport is supposed to be a neighbor to everyone. So there seems to be something going on with that I hope can also be more transparent about noise monitoring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mark Shull, followed by Rebecca Ward. Mark, please accept this request. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, thank you. Mark Shull from Palo Alto. I did have a question, and I'll just state it. I don't need it answered right now, but it would be good to know whether the portables will actually show up on the web portal or not. It'd be good if they can. Secondly, I was really pleased to hear that there's a lot of consideration to positioning monitors around East Palo Alto, Bellhaven. And I'll give you an example of just how bad it can get there. and I actually have this as a screenshot. So there was an Air China 747-200, which Bert will tell you is a very old plane, a cargo plane, descending through Palo Alto below 4,000 feet. So it's probably 3,000 feet over those neighborhoods, which are part of East Palo Alto and part of parts of Menlo Park. The nearest SFO noise monitor registered green and a sound measurement of 48. These are on the busiest arrival procedure into SFO, and that heavy and old plane only registers a 48. So the noise monitor in that location, I just say, is really, really important. And if you're moving forward on that, Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Bert, could you comment on the monitors that are outside of the contour versus the ones that are inside and how the FAA is involved? Just I think that's an important question.
Right now, the FAA says we can use certain funds and go ahead and place within the noise contour or right at it. If it's beyond it, then we are not supposed to use airport funds to do that. Now, if an airport can verify by putting a portable in a given location repeatedly, so that's a permanent portable, we can then justify, as long as we don't have a lot of vehicle traffic or anything else in a contaminated noise area, we most likely will be able to validate with the FAA that we should be able to place a noise monitor there permanently.
Great, thank you. Okay, and I hope that I think was Jennifer was asking that question, but thank you, Mr. Shull. And now we'll go on to the next comment.
Lastly, we have Rebecca Ward. Rebecca, please accept this request, unmute your microphone, and begin speaking.
Ms. Ward might be muted.
No, I just came through. This is Rebecca Ward from Palo Alto. First of all, I just wanted, it was kind of a question, but I guess it's a hope that you'll actually put permanent noise monitors in the location of both Bellhaven and East Palo Alto, because in looking at the air traffic, it is somewhat ironic that the two communities that are the furthest from the airport, really do bear the brunt of the absolute final approach into the ocean, and so into the bay, I'm sorry. And it would seem to me that the Roundtable should be spending more time really understanding how those arrivals impact those communities. And so I would just like to say that in addition to what sounds like temporary noise monitors, that they actually put permanent ones there, because those communities are significantly impacted by the arrivals traffic. Thanks.
Thank you, and I guess that's exactly what this subcommittee was set up for, to look at issues like what you just commented. So I encourage you to participate in those subcommittee meetings. So thank you for your comment. And any other, Janneth?
Chairman Ortiz, there is actually one more hand raised that I see. This from Darlene Yapley. Darlene, please state the city you are calling from. Please accept this request also and unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Just a quick question. Ricardo mentioned that we should participate in a subcommittee meeting. The first subcommittee meeting was not announced publicly. Will the subsequent meetings, obviously it takes time to get more coordinated with other meetings, but will future meetings be communicated so that we actually can attend and participate? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. They are noticed. I'm sorry, you said there's one meeting that was not
Yes,
noted?
correct. The first meeting wasn't public.
Okay.
What she's referring to was not a meeting. It was a couple members trying to organize how to organize the subcommittee.
Right. So we have had 0 public noticed meetings for the monitor placement subcommittee. Is that correct? I mean, I don't remember any noticed meetings for the subcommittee. So, Ms. Yap, point taken. Well, yes, they will be noticed. Yes, you will know when they're coming up, and we do encourage your participation. Again, the whole idea is to create a transparent method to prioritize these placements and recommend them. So, yes, the answer is yes. So we'll move on.
And through Chair Ortiz,
Yes.
could we get Darlene's city?
Darlene, I believe, is Palo Alto. Is that correct, Darlene? I think she must have gone back to muting. Does
Sorry,
somebody?
I'm unmuted now. Yes,
It's
Terry,
Palo
it's Darlene Yapley from Palo Alto.
Okay, thank you. And
Thank you
thank you
very
for your
much.
comment. Okay, with that, do we have any other public comment?
Chairman Ortiz, no, there are no more hands raised.
Okay,
Thank
thank you, Ms. Lujan. I appreciate your help with that. And with that, Councilmember O'Connor, thank you for your work with this. I really appreciate it. I think it's going to be an important part of what we do as a roundtable is these the noise monitors. I know that they've raised a lot of questions, so I'm very pleased that we're doing this. I think it's a good development. So thank you for your work. And with that, we will move to item number 8, which is Vice Mayor Schneider, who is going to give us an update from the ground-based noise subcommittee. Vice Mayor, hit that mute button. Kathleen, I see you waving. Is there? Oh, you're waving for her. And we can't hear you. So at this point, you are still muted.
Well, her mute icon is turned off. It says that she's unmuted, but we are not getting any audio.
Well, there might be some connection issues. I would really like her because I did miss part of that subcommittee meeting, so I could report on the beginning of it. Are you there, Ann?
Now she's muted again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank
Okay.
you.
I think it's where we're both trying to mute and unmute at the same time. Okay, I'm going to dive into this because it is very late already. And of course, as you all know, I love ground-based noise. We did have our first Zoom meeting since COVID started. I want to thank Linda and Angela for all the work they did in getting us together and putting the Zoom calls together. It is tremendous to have you both. And I want to thank Justin because what's been happening behind the scenes is Justin Cook and Linda have been working on a scope of work for doing a spectral analysis of ground-based noise. This is mainly noise coming from airplanes, so mainly departure noise. And they have completed a project that we went over last week. I could go into all 5 layers of it, but I hesitate with the time. I can go back to that, but shortly what we did is we discussed the 5 different layers of study that could be done. And it would be looking at historical data from the existing monitors from around the airport. So I think we were talking about 10 different monitors at that time. Justin, correct me when I'm wrong. Using historical data, we're going to be looking at how the noise moves around buildings, walls, surfaces, for example, rubberized asphalt, which can be a sound dampener, as well as vegetation. And then looking at what I call topography, but I believe we are calling terrain. So does noise tend to concentrate as it's moving up a valley, for example? And that's what Justin, assuming that the roundtable approves this project and we have funding for this project, that's what's going to be studied. The other interesting thing to note is Justin reported that very few studies of this type, if any, have been done around the world. So this is pretty cutting edge information or studies to look at this. And right now we're just looking at historical data. So the impact of COVID and the fact that flights are down to only 13% of normal passengers and I don't know, 5 or 10% of normal flights. That won't be an issue for us right now because it's based on historical data. There has been one study or some studies that are done on run-ups. So I know people in South City, San Bruno, Millbrae, Burlingame occasionally hear run-ups. That's when an engine's been in mechanicals and then they're testing it before it goes back into service, and that there have been enclosure studies for that. And we didn't really talk about how those enclosure studies might help our ground-based noise, but it's something to hold out there. The question now is, with the existing 5 scenarios, which looks at takeoffs of 2 different airplanes from runway 1, left and right, as well as planes taking off almost simultaneously, versus something Kathleen Wentworth brought up, was the way a plane enters into the runway is another set of criteria. Those are the categories that we're looking at, with one additional category. And when Bert mentioned that the monitors could come from my house, it is my theory, in the pure science sense, it's only a theory, that once the new hotel was built that has a curve in it, and that curve is capturing noise from the airport and sending it towards basically Millbrae City Hall, and I'm right behind Millbrae City Hall. So that's why we had been talking about putting a monitor at my house, not for personal gain, but for quick implementation. And I need that to be noted. I don't want it to look like I'm trying to use personal gain here at all. It just, we seem to line up straight with the changes in a building on site, and it'll give us some more data for that. The study is estimated at $50,000. Pre-COVID, that was probably very doable. Post-COVID, that is something for all of us to think about. With the addition of perhaps runway 28 departures also now causing new noise impacts, Linda and Justin are going to go back and look at what a cost of adding an additional study area would cost, and then the entire proposal will come to the next airport roundtable. So I tried to summarize 2 hours there.
You've done well. You've done well.
Great meeting, and I'm again very thankful to staff. I know Al also, I don't want to speak for Vice Mayor Royce from Hillsborough, concerned about how supersonics might do, but you know, so that's another study that could be sitting out there. But a great meeting, and much work to do now that we're getting back into form. Very exciting.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Schneider, for all your work on that and all your passion on that issue. So we really appreciate it. And Justin, did you have any comments to follow up on that, or?
I do not. I think she covered it well. So thank you, Ann.
And at this time, so I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments from the members. So Ms. Montes.
Yes, Councilmember Hurt's hands is raised. So go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you. And thank you, Vice Mayor Schneider, for the update on the meeting. I'm just curious, is there, I'm one of the newer members, so is there a plan on how you intend to use the data that you receive for the roundtable's benefit? I'm just curious, what's the goal with this particular data and how it will be used?
Oh, Chair Ortiz, do you want me to handle that? I have my wish list.
Well, I could tell you mine. The council member heard the idea, and how we came up with this is in order to even consider to talk about any mitigation measures, we need to understand how the sound is traveling and how it's dispersing. Last thing we want to do is create some mitigation that's just going to shift noise. The idea is to use that data to move to the next step, which would be to investigate any mitigation that we can take advantage. Council, Vice Mayor Schneider, anything to add?
No, I think the chairman got that. The other things that we've looked at, Councilwoman Hurt, is what types of surfaces or things like trees or thick vegetation might work at absorbing noise as opposed to bouncing it. So if you look at a highway and you look at the traditional sound walls on a highway that are made out of cinder block, that tends to bounce the noise. It is a theory that we're working under of thick, dense foliage. So thick trees may actually absorb the sound, may actually absorb the vibration, perhaps not completely, and it may have to be 20 feet thick. But as Councilman Ortiz said, we need to know where the problems are. But then one output might be a planting plan. It might be sound materials. Long range, it might also point out which materials buildings should use in construction that would absorb sound as opposed to bouncing sound. Something that, because there aren't good guidelines for that, when Millbrae approved it TOD, I couldn't push for sound absorption materials versus sound bouncing materials. So this is the beginning. Another outcome is Bert will also be working with us to come up with what a ground-based noise report might look like. So the contours for ground-based noise might be different than the contours on air. So there'd be a new set of maps. Perhaps that would mean a new set of homes that would fall within insulation protocols. And also something that Justin asked Justin, we might also be able to create a noise-based, a noise 101 that could be used from around the world. So it's really cutting edge. It's just taken a really long time. I've been on the airport roundtable for 5 years, and we are now getting to something that affects my community greatly. So it is terribly exciting. So I hope that the council, all of the members will keep an open mind when we meet in October for the cost of the study, and we figure out how we can make it happen.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Schneider. I keep saying that, Vice Mayor Schneider.
I appreciate the attempt. It was hard work to get here.
Anyway, it's getting late. I'm getting punchy now. With that, I'm going to open it up. Oh, we'll continue with questions or comments from members. Anything else, Ms. Montes?
I do not see any more hands from the members.
And now we will open it up to public comment. Ms. Lujan, I'll put it in your hands. Or Ms. Montes, you're going to tell us the rules one more time?
Sure, really quick, just as a reminder, you may use the raise hand feature to indicate your desire to speak, or if you are joining us by phone, you may press *9. And we do have some hands raised, so I will pass it on to Janneth.
Thank you, Angela. We do have 2 hands raised, like you mentioned. First, we have Mark Shull, followed by Mary Jo Fremont. I want to please ask you to identify the city where you're calling from, which has been helpful. And right now, Mark, please accept this request, unmute your microphone, and begin speaking.
Thank you, and thank you, Ann. I did attend your subcommittee meeting. Just a nudge, though. You didn't ask for public comments, and so I'll make the public comments now.
My apologies.
No, I think there's a couple of things, because I am, to be honest, a big supporter in this area. I have read the BBN study, which happens to be read by my old company where I worked, BBN, which was the previous noise study on backblast. And basically, that was more of a science project, to be honest. I think they were supposed to do insulation, but that's not really what they did. Which brings you to one of the main problems is, how do you really measure this stuff, which is what you guys are focused on. And one of the things I would say is, that's actually very similar to what the MONA project, which is, kind of a project by some Stanford, Palo Alto residents and NASA now, which has some FAA funding, is really working on, is how to better measure noise. It isn't really trying to change the noise measurements per se, but there are many phases of, whether it's the parts of approach, takeoff, whatever, that really there aren't good ways of measuring. And it's a lot of modeling and math and things like that. And frankly, to my mind, that's kind of where this project is. And so I would just throw that out there. And, there may be some interest on their part. I know I threw some of the questions to them in the past, and they all responded with, hey, what about this? What about that? So there may be something there, and I just wanted to pass that on. Thanks.
Chair Ortiz, may I ask Mr. Shull a question?
You know what? I'm.
It's really, Mark, if you could just send me all that information again. I know you sent me stuff in email, but over COVID, it might have gotten lost. I would love to hear and read more.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you for your comment. That was really helpful. So any other public comments?
Yes, we have one more. Mary Jo Fremont. Mary
Okay.
Jo, please accept this request. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Mary Jo, please tell us your city again. I think it's Palo Alto.
Yes, Mary Jo Fremont from Palo Alto. I just have a simple suggestion that may help the ground-based noise group. The Frankfurt Airport is a pretty good leader in terms of noise abatement. And if you go to their website, they have done some stuff on ground noise. So I would suggest, maybe connecting with them or looking at what they have done, because that will save you a lot of time and pain. Doing scientific research take years. I've done that. You may not see benefits for another decade. So I would suggest the Frankfurt Airport. Probably Justin can do that. It's Fraport is the name of the airport.
Great.
And you see on active noise abatement. I can send you the link if you want.
That would be lovely.
I would
Okay,
love to do that. Yes, Mary Jo, please.
Okay, that's all.
And Justin, are you familiar with that study?
I am not, but a link would be appreciated.
Great.
It's not a study. Let me comment. They've made some specific things about reducing, engine noise, putting screening, noise reducing screening walls, etc.,
Oh,
preconditioned air units, etc., etc.
I'd love to see that. Yes, please, Mary Jo. Really
I will email you that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And do we have any other public comment?
Chairman Ortiz, there are no more hands raised for this item.
Thank you, Ms. Lujan. Appreciate it. And with that, we are moving on to Legislative Subcommittee. Janet, were you done with your report, or are you finished? Thank you very much. I see you waving your hands, waving me off. So with that, we will go to Justin for an update on general aviation noise issues.
I'll be very brief. How about that? You like that? Okay. ISP Gateway update. We released a July update. There was one designated low importance item, really just a procedure out of Oakland, the Quake 2. It's moving from a Quake 1 to a Quake 2. Just awaiting publication, estimated date of November 2020. We'll continue to monitor it as well as other possible procedures in the future. In regards to noise news, I want to thank Sue, as apparently she reads our newsletter. So thank you, Sue. I do have a reader of my news, so that's exciting. We changed the format. We added a lot of other content, and we're continuing to update it. So I would appreciate any feedback that you have or topic suggestions. If you think we're missing something or a particular area, I've tried to cover a variety of topics, from electric aircraft to supersonics, to how communities are responding, and correlations between noise operations and complaints during COVID. And so, yeah, I'm open to suggestions, and always feel free to ask questions if you have any in reading the noise news. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Justin. Appreciate the report. So with that, we move to item 11, which is member communications and announcements. Do we have any communications or announcements from any of the members?
Chairman Ortiz, we want to open it up to public comment?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I apologize. See, I'm getting punchy. So let's open it up to public comments. Any questions of Justin on the general update on item number 10? So go ahead, Ms. Lujan.
We have currently one hand raised for this item. I have Jennifer L. Jennifer, I want to ask that you please identify the city you're calling from. So Jennifer, please accept this request. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer Landesman, and City of Palo Alto. I joined the meeting a little bit later, and I don't know if this was discussed, but Justin, one of the items that I read on the airport is about HMMH being asked to take a new look or a second look or relook at the neighborhood study that HMMH did for the FAA. Is that something that you've reported on in your news? And if there's any information about that, if the roundtable may recall, this is the study which Mr. Sartero mentioned is really sort of a game changer for a lot of policy issues. And because FAA is looking for that information. And so I wanted to know specifically, what the timeline is for the new study of the already completed study. And any information about that would be great. And if you could report about it in your journal, and also
Sure.
monthly or weekly, or if you have a link, you could direct us for more information about that study. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Landesman. Appreciate you staying late with us. Any other, Ms. Lujan, any other public comment?
Chairman Ortiz, I don't see any more.
Okay, perfect. So
I just want to note
I
that
think-
Glenn Morse from United Airlines has his hand raised. Glenn, go ahead. You may unmute your microphone.
Oh, please.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And actually, this was for the next item. So maybe I can make the transition if it's okay, but I just wanted to, go ahead. I just wanted to acknowledge, Bert's comments earlier. I certainly appreciate that. I think I've been attending the roundtable for probably close to 10 years, either in person or in the background on the TV. And, it's a commitment I made, and I'm glad I was able to do it. I wanted to comment also on the vortex generators. I think everybody knows that we have literally hundreds of airplanes parked at this point in time, but I think a very high percentage of our Airbuses that are operating, in fact, have the generators installed. That's kind of the good news. Overall, our fleet is about 36 or 40% equipped. And so when they all get back into the air, it won't be quite as rosy, but we're continuing to work on that project, and hopefully they'll all get back into the air, and we'll be able to complete that project over the next few years. I'd also like to acknowledge the GBAS project is something I've been involved in, nationally for probably over 20 years, and I was involved in a demonstration a couple of years ago at San Francisco, and actually flew on one of the flights that did the demonstration, and it was quite exciting. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing some benefits, not only operationally, but certainly from a noise perspective from that as well. So again, I know when your meetings are, I know the website address, and don't be surprised if you see me lurking in the background going forward. And I want to say thank you.
Well, no, I think we need to say thank you to you for your years of commitment to the airport and to the roundtable. So thank you, and we look forward to you participating in our meetings in the future. So thank you, and I appreciate your comment. And with that, can I now go to item 11?
Yes.
Thank you. Member communications and announcements. Once again, members, anybody have communications or any announcements for the rest of us? Ms. Lujan, or Ms. Montes, I'm sorry.
Yes, I do not see any hands raised from roundtable members.
Very good. And I just got to say, every time you said, would you accept this? All I could think of was The Bachelor. Would you accept this roast? But
well, actually, now we do see a hand from Vice Mayor Schneider.
Okay, Vice Mayor Schneider, please. Would you accept this roast?
I just want to welcome Councilwoman Laura Davis from San Bruno. Laura, I want to make sure that we are including her on ground-based noise. So I know we have played a little phone tag, but it's lovely to see you at the roundtable. And I've
Thank you.
embarrassed you now, but I'm seeing you there. So
Thank you, Ann.
you're so far away from me, but yeah.
I want to accept the rose, though, by the way.
Good. All right. Thank you very much. And unless anybody has anything else, we will be adjourned. So thank you all. But before we adjourn, let me just say thank you to Angela, to
Linda,
Janneth.
and Janneth. I'm so sorry. So you guys, thank you
Yes.
very much. The meeting went really smooth. Thank you to all your help. Thank you to the committee sub chairs, and thank you to Justin. I think this was a very, very productive meeting. And I think it was really smooth. So I really appreciate everybody being here. And with that, we are adjourned, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.